Yo, welcome back, everybody. Not the start that we wanted, was it? Absolutely fuming with the performance today. I'm sure all of you are as well. I really had hoped the week and a half might have helped with fatigue. I think there was a little bit there still. But I think that the big problem today was that midfield balance, really highlighting, as we say, lyrical every week. Casemiro, massive factor, and Ericsson. Actually, I think Ericsson is actually far more important than everybody. We've been very lucky to get results over the line, but today just wasn't our day. Really poor. Unfortunately, the changes made on 83 minutes didn't work out in the end. But there you go. I'm sure the boys will be able to break it down a bit more for me. Thank you very much for joining me, guys. Lovely to see you both as always. I hope you're all right. I know it's not positive, but let's break it down. Stu, over to you first, buddy.
Yeah, times in football where you get what you deserve really, and I think today was one of those games where we got what we deserved. I thought first half, although we were battered a little bit, I thought we contained them quite well, and I think Stats will said he had 25, 26 shots, etc. But there was nothing apart from the double save in the first half that would really worry you as a unit. But what was glaring today was our inability to watch the game and view the game on at pitch level as players, and that was quite worrying for me. And what I mean by that is they allowed the game to unfold in front of them, but did absolutely nothing to prevent what was happening. And most of it was actually preventable. I don't actually necessarily think that Newcastle was streets ahead of us. I just think it was our inability to quash any kind of play and any kind of rhythm that they got. We just didn't have that dynamism. We didn't have that. We didn't today for some unknown reason. We looked lazy, and I don't know whether it's whether or not we had Casemiro in there, whether that would have made any difference today. I don't know. And there comes a time in a game of football when the final whistle or 2 minutes before the final whistle, Dan Burn is standing there. They're 2-0 up, and he's still trying to create an atmosphere and get the fans behind him. I don't know. For me, that would have been a bit too much for me to have taken. I probably would have walked over and kicked his legs from underneath him for doing that, because to me, that's just blatantly taking the piss. And as footballers and as a team, we shouldn't allow players to do that. So, all in all, we didn't look like we were going to get anything out of the game, if I'm being honest. I think Ten Hag was scratching his head at one point about what he can do to change it. I think he's realised it was pretty much nothing. He had nothing really on the bench that would allow him to do that. I thought Martial, when he came on, was good. Showed some spirit. Weghorst didn't have his best game today. Even his pressing didn't really pull the two centre halves out at all. I thought Shah and Botman were quite comfortable today. Dan Burn was pretty much comfortable with Anthony.
Yeah, I thought Anthony
Rashford
was very
and
poor
Trippier.
today.
Guimaraes was streets ahead of everyone on that field today. Streets ahead of everybody. And Pope was probably twiddling his thumbs for 90% of the match, and it just isn't good enough, really. I think, and I'm going to say it, I think Ten Hag's lack of experience of the English game is costing us right now. And he's perhaps not being listened to in terms of 3 or 4 weeks ago, we should have made a choice, a definitive choice about capitalising top 4 and maybe one trophy, rather than go for the 3 trophies and top 4. And I
think one of those needs to drop, really. Maybe at least one of them. I think we really have to, like in any role, prioritize.
Yeah.
I think I was having this discussion backstage. Sorry to interject, Stu.
That's right.
Wonderfully summed up, by the way. And thanks for doing the preview as well the other day. I was going to come to
a point
you made on that. Yeah, I think we do need to prioritise that a little bit. I think that it's all been exciting, and obviously great that we're in this many competitions, and looking forward to seeing what could potentially happen at the end. But ultimately, I think we need to probably take ourselves back a little bit, readjust, and think about what it is we actually want. Um, Fundamentally, if you win the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, don't win the Europa League, and don't get top four, I would say that's quite damning. Two
Yeah.
trophies, absolutely, but I'd say if you look at it properly, I'd say that's far more damning. And
I, I,
yes,
I think you're right, Mark. I think the biggest problem for Ten Hag is, and look, when this season finishes, we're all said and done. I just think you've got to respect what Ten Hag has done. But managing in the Dutch league is way, way different to managing in the Premier League. And I think he's probably learned a valuable lesson the second half of the season in terms of what maybe we should have been looking at in terms of team selection, in terms of the way that we went about and go about playing football matches. And I think he'll probably, reflect on this in the summer, when he's in the south of France, wherever he goes on his holidays, and you'll probably see a different type of approach to the season next year. I think also fans have been massively carried away. We've all jumped on this hype train, haven't we, of how well we've done. There are certain.
that's absolutely right. Listen, I'm sorry again, buddy.
That's all right.
I think that's spot on. I keep having this same conversation at the moment where, we've coming up to the international break. There's clearly fatigue. Everyone says, right, we need a bit of a respite. Yes, absolutely right. That probably has helped. And they probably are a lot more fitter than they were a few weeks ago. But there's not just one thing that we need to do. It's lots of things that happen over a period of time. And fundamentally, we can't at the beginning of the season and in January be pissed off with two loan signings and then all of a sudden think we've got the squad depth. You lose Ericsson,
Exactly right.
you lose Casemiro, and
Yeah,
and
exactly
and
right.
and it's a massive, massive gaping hole. And I think that we have to think about it. At the beginning of the season, if anyone was to say to me, I think we're probably looking for fifth or sixth, and I know we should be looking for more than that. But if we're looking for fifth or sixth, I probably wouldn't be able to argue with you. I was optimistic, and I did say third, fortunately,
Yes.
and I didn't even say trophies. No, I was just hoping we'd get top four. But ultimately, we have got carried away, and people need to try and be a bit realistic, take themselves out a little bit, and try and look at it for what it is.
Just before Freddie comes in, I mean, there's going to be the obligatory fan meltdown now, isn't there? All the fans, Weghorst is crap, Sancho's rubbish, blah, 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 which you're going to get. Rather than actually taking stock of the whole season as where we are. We're three quarters of the way through the season now, aren't we, give or take? And we've had the World Cup, and we just haven't got the depth, and we never had the depth to really push on all four fronts. And we really didn't have the depth to push on really for, more than two fronts. And when you know football and understand football, I've been around football, been in dressing rooms, and understand, sometimes you just can't play yourself out of this dip that we're in. I just think right now we've got big, big problems, and we're probably unlikely to really push on now for the remainder of the season unless something drastically changes. And that is, I know you can talk about it later now, is get someone like Ericsson back.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
think we
Freddie.
can. Yeah, sorry, Freddie. I'm really sorry, buddy. I will be asking you the same sort of thing in a minute. I think that this is what the management and the coaches are there for. I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I know we're going through a very poor period, but it's now down to, this is where it's a real test. Okay, we've been very fortunate to pick up as many points as we have.
Yeah.
But this is the real test now, turning it around. Now, you'd think we might have done that a couple of months ago, maybe a month ago perhaps, but it's not quite that simple. And I think that with the players that we have coming back, Casemiro obviously got 3 games still to go. I think that'll be a major, major turning point. And I still think we could be in for a shout of all these things. And until we're not, you got to believe that. Freddie, sorry, buddy. I know we've gone on a hell of a long
Sorry,
time, my man. You know what Stu's like. Can't shut him up. But no, I really appreciate it, buddy. Fred, I hope you're really well, mate. As I said backstage, it's been a long time, mate, and good to have you. But how are you feeling?
Good, thank you. It's a shame that first game back after a while is had to be this one, but everything that both of you have said is absolutely right. It's not you've got to put the result in the grand scheme of things. We have overachieved. This is only the manager's first season. We are a team. I'm going to use that famous T word. We are a team in transition. We've already won a trophy. So look, it's just, again, it's similar to the Liverpool game. It's just 3 points at the end of the day. If you look at the bigger picture, where we are still in the top four. We've won a trophy already. We are fighting for a couple of other trophies. I totally agree with what you've said. That probably the manager does need to prioritise or make key decisions now on what he and the club want to prioritise, because we haven't got the squad to fight on all four fronts yet. So yeah, look, it's today. I put it down to a bit of complacency. I think they wanted it more on all fronts. They obviously wanted a lot of revenge after the cup final. They knew that their top
actually,
part,
just quickly, if I would ask you the question, okay, we're going to play Newcastle twice. Okay, one of those is for a trophy, and the other one's for a league. Which one would you rather have lost?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, look, we've got the upper hand. We've won a trophy over them, so they wanted blood, and they got it today, which was sometimes that's just inevitable. And put that in context as well with the injuries we've got, the suspensions. I just think it's not the biggest shock, in all honesty. I mean, this is they're one place. They were 3 points behind us. Now, unfortunately, they go join with us. It's a good team. It's no shame in losing to Newcastle, who are a top four competitor. And I said it with Stu recently. There's no easy away game in the Premier League at all. The concern for me is that I don't think we've scored a goal now in the league in the last 3 games. And the last time we scored was Leicester in February, so that's very concerning. And I think I saw Sky showed a graphic of our away record against the top 9 teams, and we've lost all of them. So there's a lot that needs to be worked on. I think, like you mentioned earlier, Marc, I think the midfield, we lost it in midfield today. It was one of the big elements. I wasn't a fan of McTominay starting high in the first half. I saw the intent there. And then in the second half, he just reverted back to the orthodox approach with Bruno high and then a Sabitzer and McTominay pivot. A lot of chopping and changing.
You can see the difference in his play, actually. There were a couple of times, one particular time where Sabitzer actually did absolutely brilliantly on the right-hand side, kept the ball, took on a couple of players, kept it to himself, put it back to McTominay. And because he was further back, he doesn't make himself available. He had an option to play it in front of Luke Shaw, but he ended up playing it back to, I think it was Varane at the time, or Martinez. And you can see that there's a real difference in McTominay. And I think it's like almost a mindset. If he plays further back, he tends to think further back. If he plays further forward, you can see that he does try to play more attacking, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I also think it's the reason why I didn't go with Fred in the beginning. Fred's very much the same. Unless he's got someone behind him or playing next to Casemiro, he's exactly the same as what you just described with McTominay. Well, so it was really, really poor. I'm sure we'll get to the ratings earlier, and I don't think anyone's going to do themselves any justice. But I think from top to bottom of the pitch, everyone didn't perform. And when you lose the attack, the midfield, and the defence, you're going to lose 99 times over 100.
The thing about it is, Freddie, is sometimes you've heard me speak about this before. You have to mix it up in football. We still may have lost 2-0 if you'd stuck Martinez in at centre midfield and allowed Sabitzer and Bruno to be a bit more freer. But at least you've got some bite in there. And this is the issue when you've got someone like Guimaraes, who's their playmaker, and you know what he's going to do. When you're setting out against Man City at the minute, you're not necessarily bothered about De Bruyne at this point in time. You're bothered more about Grealish, and you've got to understand and you've got to target these footballers and say, right, he's the main plan. I'm just gonna do everything I can to put you off your game. Wherever you turn, I'm going to be waving at you. I'm going to be smiling. I'm going to do something to stop you from influencing this game of football, and we just don't do it. You know, I talk about reducers all the time, and there are times in football where you've got to stamp on somebody. You know, it sounds horrible, it does, but you know, Newcastle were chasing us around. Isaac was putting Martinez under pressure, was putting Varane under pressure, Shaw under pressure, Dallo under pressure. So Maximan was putting everyone under pressure. And what they're doing is as they're running towards these players and they're getting close to them, they're stamping on their toes. They're doing something that you can't see to the naked eye, and they're doing something to annoy the opposition. You've got to be like a gnat, constantly pounding against somebody. And you've got to stand up to these players. When you go to an away game such as Newcastle, you have to stand up. You've got to be 10 foot tall. I hate that saying. It's such a crappy saying. But you've got to be 10 foot tall. You walk on that pitch and you want to put the fear of God into the opposition, not the other way around. And unfortunately today, we were just like rabbit in headlights. We were like, oh, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on? You're dealing with professional footballers. This is, this is nothing new to these guys. It's nothing new to Martinez, who was, 2.5 months ago, the World Cup final. None of this is new to these footballers. Varane, De Gea, it's not new, and being able and looking around and being a shambles is unacceptable at this level. It really is, You've got to rely on your coaching staff. You've got to rely on your manager, but you have to rely on yourselves. You are the ones out there who can organise yourselves to stop what's unfolding in front of you. We just don't do that. You've got McTominay, who is weak. He's just a weak player. You got Sabitzer, didn't really put his foot in today. You got Martinez, didn't really show the aggression that he's normally got. The most aggression we saw was when Anthony and Martinez were fuming when they got brought off.
Yeah.
Anthony was
that says a lot about character today. That was poor.
Yeah, I'd rather, I want to see you on the pitch with that kind of, upset and anger and aggression, not just because you've been brought off. You've been brought off because you're not influencing the game. I didn't quite understand the substitutions towards the end. Somebody might be able to explain that.
Well, listen, I do. I think he was going for broke. He knew that it was a massive 3 points there. I think he obviously played 3 at the back ultimately at the end, didn't he? And it was either
a bit late though, Mark, wasn't it? 10 minutes.
Yeah, and maybe he should have done it before. You know what I mean? Like, people are fallible, but I think he was going for it. And if we had got an equalising goal and it had worked out, or maybe a winning goal, I don't think that would be a question. And I think I could see that he was just trying to get back in it and make something of it, and it just didn't work.
I think we've just got too many players at the minute that are running through the motions. Bruno again today. People are talking about Bruno being this great. I didn't see anything on that today. I'd have been screaming, shouting. You should see us on a Monday and a Wednesday night when we're playing in this, 7-a-side league. We're screaming at each other. If you make the basic mistake, come on, you're better than that. You know what to do. You're talking to people constantly. I need you here. I need you 5 yards tucked in. I need you there. Just do something to disrupt the opposition. And, we just didn't do that today. And, I don't think Pope's kit doesn't need washing, does it? I don't think he sweated. I don't think he died for anything.
I doubt it. Yeah, six shots and 1 on target, I think.
Yeah, I'll keep this for Wednesday night, kit man. Don't worry about washing that, mate. I haven't done anything with it. I don't know why I bother putting it on. You can't have that in football. And as I said to you, when you've got the likes of Dan Burn, even at 93 minutes and 2-0 up, and he's geeing up the crowd, I can't tell you.
It sets the tone, doesn't it? I mean, even Anthony, I think, they carried over. They had a bit of a battle, didn't they, during the cup final, and they carried it over to this game. And I think Dan Burn just from the off, there was an incident where he literally pushed him off the pitch, and Anthony's down, and then the whole crowd on Anthony's back, and it sets the tone for the game. And unless you've got a bit of resilience, which I think we really lacked today. You're just going to fold. Like we were losing every second ball. The passing was so sloppy. It was absolutely
Very
awful,
poor.
and they just had that extra yard of pace. So sometimes this happens, but it's worrying.
What was interesting, Freddie? What was interesting, Freddie, is about you pointed out about Dan Burn and Anthony, and it comes back to what I was saying.
I was going to ask you guys about this, so go for it.
It comes about everything I was saying right at the beginning. Dan Burn decided, right, I got absolutely roasted by Anthony at Wembley. So what am I going to do to him? I'm going to push him.
Exactly.
Every time he comes near me, I'm going to elbow him. I'm going to push him on the floor. I'm going to make everything I can. I'm going to stop playing football when I'm around this kid. I'm going to say, all right then, pal, what are you going to do today? Because I'm just going to stand there like a fucking tree.
It's interesting, actually, because if you guys go back and watch the show that Stu did for the preview the other night, we had Pete on, who's
good.
He's excellent. Newcastle United fan, and there was a kind of heated debate, really, wasn't there, between Dan Burn and Anthony, and you're right, we had that kind of competition in the final. Anthony come off on top, was very, very good, but today
Dan Burn was having none of it.
He did exactly what
Dan Burn today.
He did exactly what you said you were afraid might happen, and what Pete had mentioned that could happen, and he did. He played brilliantly today. He kept him out, didn't allow him any time, didn't show him onto his left foot, and completely eradicated him from the game.
Yeah, didn't bother playing football. Anytime you get anywhere near that ball, I'm going to put you down. And that sometimes is what you have to do in football. And this is the thing with Guimaraes. You know, Sabitzer and Thomas should have got together and said, right, anytime he's on that ball, bang. Just bang. Do anything you can. Get him off that ball. Take a booking. Do something. But Dan Burn didn't even bother with Anthony today. Bang. You're not having it, mate. You can do anything you like today. But you're just going to have to put it on your ass, and I'll take a sending off for it. That's what I like. That's the mentality of how you've got to stop somebody. Very, very quick story. Very quick story. It happened to me in a game once, and I got absolutely destroyed for 90 minutes. And I remember going home over the weekend, absolutely livid. We happened to play them again 6 weeks after, and all I did was kick him for 90 minutes. He scored 3 goals against me the first game, and I kicked him for 90 minutes. And he come off, he said, "Oh, you're shite, you can't play football," and all this kind of stuff. I said, "Whatever, mate, how did you score today?" And he goes, "Well, I didn't." I said, "Well, there you go."
End of conversation.
It was exactly, there you go, mate. And I walked off, and I felt so much better for it. And that's exactly what Dan Burn did today.
Yeah, he did.
Did we get yellow cards? I can't even
remember. Don't recall any, Fred.
There's your
Again,
answer.
doesn't that
Absolutely
say it all?
nothing.
Doesn't that say it all?
I don't recall anything.
I don't recall yellow cards. No.
I
was going to ask you about it. I didn't want to say anything just in case I got it wrong, but I don't recall a yellow card.
No, I'm just having a little look now, and there were 0 yellow cards. Not for either team.
Look at Hammer's comment.
Let me have a little look. Just before I do, actually, no yellow. Stu, all I could think about today is putting a shoulder square into Burns' chest. He did want what he wanted to do and successfully, but damn it pissed me off. Absolutely right. Loads of you in today. Really, really appreciate that. Obviously, good to be back. Good to have you all involved. And obviously, the boys coming on and giving me their precious time. And I always appreciate that. I just wanted to come to a few particular comments, actually. Nat, not seen you around before. Really appreciate you coming in. And I'd really love to know what team you support, actually. So please let us know in the comments. But I think you made some really good points, actually. I thought you guys were lacking a cutting edge today. Yep. Thank you very much. And trying to do a million things at once. Sorry. Jarvis, you guys seem to lack a pacey forward. I think this has been a massive topic recently. We've spoken about it on previous shows. And number 9 is seriously what's needed. And that's another thing, actually, that does irate me a little bit. And I know it seems really, really picky, but people will look at today, know that Weghorst has had a poor game. Martial did a little bit more, and then will completely ostracise Weghorst for not being the number 9 that we need, blah, 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 blah. Do you know what I mean? And it's not the case. Everyone had a poor game today. And again, the amount of times I see comments about Weghorst not doing this, not doing that, they don't know and don't read the game. And I apologise if that's against what any of you guys think in the comments. Everyone each their own opinion, and that's fine. I feel that he's a lot better than people give it credit for, and today is just not justified in my opinion.
Wasn't his game today, though, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Have a great game. I've been a supporter. Freddie knows, and you do, Mark. I've been a supporter of Weghorst. I understand what he brings to the team. it wasn't his game today.
No.
And so, yeah, he was right to be bought off. I thought Martial offered a slightly bit more today when he came on for his cameo.
Big comment here, actually.
Did, yeah.
When the normal players who we turn to for moments don't turn up or aren't there, who else? Exactly. Hit the nail on the head there. Great point. Right. We will come to ratings in a minute. As I said, make sure you like and subscribing, guys. Really appreciate all the comments. And also on my lunch break, should I get Spanish or Chinese food? I mean, we can go down that route. It's been such a poor performance today. Let's
get yourself a paella. Get yourself a paella, dude.
Sounds great. Either or, I would say. I'd be happy with either. Well, let us know what you have, brother. Hammer was supposed to come on today. Well, I did ask him, and he unfortunately, as he's already alluded to, was working. But great to have you in the comments, my man. So we spoke about Anthony, poor today. I wanted to ask that question, like you said on the preview. David De Gea kept us in it, I think, today. I think that sometimes when you play poorly and only lose by 2 goals, I think, as Jarvis sort of mentioned earlier, they're the next year 4. I know that's all up in the air, whether people sort of look into that too much, but essentially they could have scored about 4 or 5. We were lucky not to, and I thought that David De Gea really pulled some great saves off against them, really kept us in it. Would you agree with that, Fred?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I think, one of the few sparks that people are going to hold his head high. However, was it the first goal? It was just playing short from the back, and I'm not going to blame De Gea because it can't just be.
My next question, Fred. You can do your job. You can do my job for me. Thanks, brother.
Read your mind. This has got to be a coaching decision, or they've obviously been told to do this. It's clearly not working. I had, as soon as it went in, I had a flashback of the Arsenal game when. I think it was the Arsenal game when he pinged it to Wan-Bissaka and I think Odegaard dispossessed him and there was another goal. We just can't do it. It's just too many goals now that we're sort of giving away just due to that stupidly playing out of the back. Newcastle from the off, their front 3 were just camped on the edge of the box. We should have known you cannot do it, and they didn't budge whatsoever. They were pressing all game. That's the only question mark I would say. I would expect someone of his experience to just react to that, and even if he's being told you have to go long because you have to just react in game to what the opposition are doing. However, in terms of the saving, you know where you're getting with De Gea, one of the best reflex goalkeepers probably in the world. I think his save in the second half when it was a header from close by and he tipped it onto the bar, and I think Fabian Schär went down. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I actually think the double save, which you got the most praise for, wasn't
I think
as
the Schär save's better.
Good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the second,
totally agree, Freddie.
The double save is always nice to see. I think
looks
the second
good.
one was just struck right at him. I think whoever it was that was taking the shot should have absolutely done better there. But anyway, 2 saves makes it count. I'm going to go into some Newcastle players today, just because I think that
just a quick one, Mark. Sorry, mate. But Freddie's absolutely right about De Gea and the playing out, but he was equally at fault for the fucking goal as well. When Guimaraes, if you could remember, when Guimaraes crosses it was quite a high cross, wasn't it? So
where's he going?
Exactly right. Thank you. Exactly.
He does find himself in no man's land.
He starts backpedaling to the far post. There's no way the ball was going, and he knew he couldn't do it. So instead of standing middle goal, if he stood in the middle of where he was, okay, as soon as because the ball was set up so far that some maximum had to head it back. All right, he might have gone near post, and then in which case, fair enough. But as he heads it back, if De Gea is where he should be, Willock's heading it into his midriff, and I'm like, why is he? I'm not even a goalkeeper, and I could see that. And secondly, the second goal, why isn't he coming for the corner crossing? Why isn't he coming? Why isn't he getting in the melee? Now, right, admittedly, he might not get there. He might miss the ball, but
you've got so many variables of that, but at least make an effort.
Make an effort. I mean, it was. I just wanted to touch on the first goal because you're right, Freddie.
The first goal was very sloppy. Yeah, I just forgot about it actually. And then the Joe Willock, there's 3 defenders around him, and he's just right in the middle of them. So even beyond De Gea, there's just
Because I think Martinez was probably thinking, well, what are you doing there? Why are you here? Where you should be? And Willock, as you quite rightly say, he had nowhere really where he could put it. As the ball came across, I mean, it was an open goal anyways. I mean, it's just, whatever.
And you have to question why, really, at that point.
Yeah, but De Gea would have stopped it. If De Gea would be where he should have been, he would have stopped it anyway.
Yeah.
But you are right about his double save. And the Shaw one in particular was phenomenal.
Fantastic.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
save.
I listen, I think I don't want to go into negatives. I'm not singling out David De Gea, and I know that people will probably think, yeah, but you've always said this every week, so you've got to stick to your guns. That's not true. You know, we've very much praise every player and criticize every player, I think, very fairly. But I think that sometimes his frailties, when you are on the back foot, do start to show more. It's all well and good when you're having a good game of football, when you're not really having to, be tested so much and you make a couple of great saves here. But when you are being everyone knows our weakness. We can't on one hand say that and then every week, when people are putting pressure on the keeper, it's a problem. Yeah. We've said before, he's not commanding enough. He doesn't communicate enough. And I think that kind of was summed up in those kind of couple of points that you guys made. And I think that he made some great saves today and certainly kept us in it and didn't embarrass us. But there are issues that people don't seem to talk about enough, I think, and playing out from the back being one of them. Communication, I think that's a vital part of being a goalkeeper, and it's never been as good as what it should be, fundamentally. Stu, did you want to come in again there, bro?
No, just Julio. Sorry, Julia was talking about, and he's right. De Gea has not necessarily ever come out for crosses, so you can't have a whinge about something he's never done. I totally accept that. I really do. But it's also right to point out where he should have been and what he could have done to maybe prevent both goals. So that's all, Julio. But I do agree with you, mate. I think you're right. Good.
Love this.
I'll make Trev's in the comments.
I'll come to you in a minute, and we will. We've already touched on Weghorst, so I'm not going to come to you. I'm going to come to a few stats for the Newcastle United players. Two players in particular, actually. Sean, great little comment here, buddy, and thank you for this. Hello, everyone. Good to see messages from familiar names, even with the poor result. We are united, and we are the weekly armchair. Really, really love that. Thanks, mate. Kieran Trippier, I think, was on form today. Really gave problems to Luke at the back. I don't know what happened to Luke today, but he wasn't on his game at all, was he? But he had 81 touches, 7 crosses completed, 6 long balls completed, 5 clearances, 4 key passes, 2 out of 3 ground duels, 1, 2 interceptions, 1 big chance created, and 1 assist. He was brilliant and a huge problem for us, wasn't he, Stu?
Yes. Disappointingly so, and I do wonder sometimes. There are certain combinations of players and oppositions that look. There are plenty of occasions where Luke Shaw could have put one on Kieran Trippier, but elected not to, and I wonder why. And it makes me wonder as to why that didn't occur today, because everybody knows how dangerous Trippier is with the ball at his feet. Okay, he's got a wonderful line of vision about him. He's got a great cross on him, a superb marksman when it comes to free kicks. Again, people will think I'm like a broken record here because I keep talking about sometimes where you just got to absolutely smash someone into Rosette in football. And, Luke Shaw had 2 or 3 occasions. Luke Shaw looked lazy today. He's taken to wearing his shin pads halfway, or his socks halfway down his legs all of a sudden. I don't know if you've noticed, over the past few months, and he looks lazy. He looks languid. He doesn't look. He needs to come out of the team, I think, and Malacia needs to go in. Now, whether or not he doesn't like playing left back anymore because he played so well at centre half, or not, I don't really know. But he just looks untidy. And I always think when you look untidy as a footballer, you play untidy, and he's playing untidy at the moment. He's not neat anymore. At the start of the season, when we came up from the World Cup, he was very neat as a footballer. He's not. He's just untidy, and it's Jarvis is right. He's beat me to it really. Rashford was kind of he was like a ghost, wasn't he, today? Bless him.
Yeah,
you know, and Sir Jarvis is right. So Trippier was like, well, I got nobody bothering me, so I just
love this.
was a bit strictly
Luke
come
Shaw.
dancing down the right lane, you know. So
Luke
I
Shaw
actually
was
think
more like lukewarm today. That made me chuckle a little bit. Yeah, sorry, go on, Fred.
yeah. Do you know what? I don't know why, but when I saw Luke Shaw in the short sleeve shirts at the beginning of the game, I just knew he was going to have a bad game. He just didn't look right. So
he didn't
yeah,
do it,
very
does
much
he?
lukewarm.
Yeah.
I actually thought Trippier was man of the match. Personally, I know they gave it to Bruno on TV just because it's the easy media standout. Everyone was talking about him. Everyone was talking about Saint-Maximin.
Bruno as well and all that.
Yeah, it's just a stupid media narrative on Sky. But Trippier was superb, and I think he was everything Dalot wasn't, and Shaw as well. Defensively, he was, positionally, he was absolutely everywhere. He didn't let Marcus. I think Marcus had a very poor game, but he didn't give him any space behind. He was pinning him back, and he was putting those balls over for their right mid, whose name escapes me. And yeah, he's just shown his experience, and he offers that technical ability, especially from a dead ball too. So yeah, I actually think he was probably the man of the match.
Yeah,
he kills the ball at the right time, doesn't he, Freddie?
Yeah,
he knows how to control the ball, kill it, and then stop it dead to stop the play, and then move it off. Yeah, absolutely.
And
right,
it's such a big influence on the midfield as well, the fullbacks, and the link ups with Longstaff were just literally everything that we didn't have, and we have had that in previous games this season. So it was a shame to see, but I also think Dalot. I'm not his biggest fan personally. I think again had another poor game. I know.
Great at all, was he?
Saint-Maximin wasn't lifting any flowers today. I think if he went on the outside a bit more, you would have seen Dalot really, really exposed. So thankfully he didn't. But defensively, even offensively, he's just not quite there. He's not providing much at the minute.
The only decent thing he did today, there was a cross into the box, and he headed it out for a corner, but it literally was straight at his head. So we didn't have to do anything to move. That's the only highlight, if I'm honest. And I'm keeping this comment up for a reason. Listen, me and Trevor always have
we love Trevor,
and we love Trevor. We have spoken about Weghorst, and I know that Freddie wanted to come in about him, so I'll let him come in first. But over to you, boys, and help me out here.
Yeah, it is.
Man, oh my, Freddie. He was outstanding. I'll tell you what, his hold-up play today was like, I'll tell you what Weghorst is. He's a peacock on that pitch. He walks in, his plumage pops out, he strolls around, and he says, Trev, this is for you, son. This is for you.
There you go, Trev. We've spoken about him. Next question. He's obviously, and we shouldn't, he's there to do a job. Is he the answer long term? No. Is he the striker that's going to run behind, get you a goal every game or every 2 games? No. It's definitely an issue. Like, you can't lie about it. It is hindering us in certain games, and I think Ten Hag needs to know or needs to learn quickly as to what games he can be useful and what games he can't be useful. At the moment, he's played every game just because there's a lack of options. Maybe you do have to play Marcus centrally and bring Sancho wide. I don't know. You're going to have to change that for some games because it's not working. I think the 7 touches was pretty bad. I think De Gea had double the touches on the 55th minute, and that's a problem. So. Yeah, but some games
so good. We brought this comment up twice. So I think this.
I didn't see the first time.
Yeah, no, that's all right, buddy. I know.
I am a comedian.
Yeah, you are funny. I'll give you that. I think this is the main point about Weghorst, and what I'm trying to get at really is it's clear what he doesn't bring. You expect a striker to come in, he isn't scoring enough. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. You can see that, and of course. We have to call a spade and say, should have done better there, should have finished that, all that kind of thing. But, what I want really, and it's for everybody, to sort of have a little bit more consistency. Yes, he wasn't great today, but nobody was. But on other games, Rashford, and I've spoken to Stu about this so many times, Rashford would not have the goals that he does since January if Weghorst was not in that team. The amount of players that he drags out of position for space to be created for whoever the top two are, particularly Rashford, is unbelievable. And people need to have a look at things he does. Granted, today, and I appreciate it's now going to drive that agenda, but he's not that bad. And honestly, and I'll say this until I'm blue in the face, if we signed him on a permanent in the summer as a backup or a bit more of dynamism, I would absolutely agree with it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a fair comment. I would have him as a backup striker because he can play across the front. And when you've got tired fullbacks and you've got tired players and the game's tight, you can utilise a player like Weghorst because he will offer that chance to run in around and create that space. For Rashford, Sancho, or whoever. But look, people are there, but Weghorst is one of those where you either like him or you don't. I like him. I do. I think he's been good for us. I really do.
Me too. I've been having his back for a long time now. Anyway, right. Well, listen, we're kind of running out of time. We're gonna make this a relatively quick one. Obviously, no one wants to talk about losing and not getting the 3 points for too long. But I would like loads of you in today, and obviously, we always appreciate that. Really, really important. But if you're in, haven't liked the video yet, please do. As I said, that's very, very important to us too. And also, as you are here, get involved with the ratings. Always a bit more fun. Obviously, today they aren't going to be very high. And we're going to make it relatively quick, but get your thoughts in and give us your ratings in the comments. Freddie, I'll come to you first, then, buddy. David De
Gea. 6, couple of good saves. However, a couple of things you could probably question with the goals. Not saying the goals are solely his fault, but on another day, you'd probably expect, or I would expect an Alisson, for example, to come out and claim the ball certainly for the first goal. But he did make a few good reflex saves, so yeah, give him an average 6.
This is such a good comment, by the way, and I'll explain why. So Casemiro, we've already highlighted being a massive link to everything. What happens is if we are attacking on that right-hand side, okay, and they get forward, if Casemiro's not part of that build-up, he's usually sort of playing it out from quite deep. When that attacker goes down that right or left-hand side, Casemiro will then drop into that pocket to cover where that space is now not occupied by the fullback. And that is a very, very good comment. I think that that was a big thing today, and probably we were a little bit harsh on the fullbacks, but that is a fundamental piece as to why fullbacks today weren't as good. We didn't have somebody that was going to drop into those pockets and to cover that space. Really, really good comment there, Jarvison. Thank you, mate.
Also, don't forget, Casemiro allows the fullbacks to feed him. So when the ball's into the fullbacks, Casemiro's like, "I'll take it off you," and he'll move with it. It's brilliant. You can't underestimate just how important that little.
Yeah. And that's the difference between Casemiro and McTominay playing in the 6, or anybody else actually, but particularly McTominay. His cover shadow, which is basically the area that he provides himself for availability of the ball, is really poor. And you can see that he doesn't make himself available. Yeah. Casemiro is always dropping into spaces and he's always available. And that's why we can get it out and attack very quickly. Right, Diogo Dalot then, Stu.
Well, a straightforward 5. I don't think he was brilliant today, but again, as you and Jarvis have pointed out, he didn't have that support, so you can't give him any more than that.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Not elaborate too much.
No, that's fine. That's how I want it today, mate. We're going to keep it short and sweet.
Okay.
Varane, Freddie.
I'll give him a 6. 6 is my sort of average go-to. I think he was a bit let down by the midfielder. I think most of the defence was. There's only so much you can do, but didn't do anything that stood out wrong. Maybe the first goal, I think he might have been one of the defenders where Joe Willock slipped in, but
he was.
Yeah, maybe a 6. Maybe a 6. Yeah.
Martinez.
Just the same. I haven't really got much to add on what Fred said, to be honest. It was a non-entity today, I'm afraid.
I thought he was one of our better players on the pitch. I think he was still strong. He was still getting in faces. I think his numbers were relatively good. Got taken off at the end, obviously frustrated. And I think it's probably because he felt, I can only assume, but he felt that he was probably providing a bit more. If actually because Casemiro wasn't sitting in that pocket and providing the progressive passes,
Nowhere to give him.
Martinez was the man that was doing that more. And if ever we were coming
That's
forward,
why didn't he put Martinez in the 6?
well, listen, there's that whole conversation.
Anyway, it's a different
There is
conversation.
that whole conversation. He did moving out from the 6 at Ajax to be a centre back, so I think that's probably never going to change. And why change that if he's doing so bloody well? Luke Shaw, Freddie.
5. I think both fullbacks. But I disagree with one of the comments. I think fullbacks really were let us down. However, they were doubled up on. It was, I think, Newcastle's tactics were their fullbacks were going to help the wingers, certainly on the right hand side, and that's why most of the attacks came. So a bit of sympathy for sure. Again, he probably wasn't helped out by the midfield, but I can't give him more than a 5. I think defensively poor, and offensively, even when we were in transition, poor as well. We didn't see any overlaps. I think he had a 5-minute cameo at the end, just when Sancho and Martial came on, where he moved up the pitch a little bit, but poor game from him. So 5.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Right, Sabitzer, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Stu, I want you to give me that and a rating. And everyone else in the comments, not seeing many ratings come in, please put them in. Sabitzer, and I'm going to ask you both a very quick question, and I just want a one-word answer. Go on, Stu.
6. I thought he was quite industrious today. I didn't think he had a huge effect on the game by any stretch of the imagination, but if he could sorted his feet out, he would have scored, because he strikes the ball sweet and the Pope wouldn't have stood a chance with it. And in the first half, he got his crossing wrong. He should have looped it a little bit rather than trying to go low. He should have just got it, and he just beaten Shaw's or Botman's foot, and it would have gone across. But I thought he was quite industrious. But you can't no more than a 6 really. But it's a good 6 for me. I thought I liked him today.
I agree. And my question, very, very quickly, one-word answer, please. Stu, would you sign me in the summer?
Oh, yes.
Fred?
Yes.
And if anyone doesn't agree with that in the comments, tell us
it's
why.
An easy yes.
Yeah,
easy
for
yes.
me, absolutely yes as well. McTominay, Fred?
Oh, no.
5, unfortunately. Again, a bit of sympathy. First half, he was playing forward. Second half, he playing a bit deeper. 5, again, poor. Every attack Newcastle had, they were just walking through our midfield. It's an area we need to strengthen because when Casemiro doesn't play, we just get exposed. So, 5.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep Bruno on you because I know that Stu will probably go in for him. Bruno Fernandes.
I think he's going for him.
Oh, well, okay. Well, either one of you, go for it. Bruno Fernandes.
A 5. Again, a 5. Didn't do anything. Really, really poor game. It's not one. The thing is, Bruno, he's probably one of my favourite players at United, in all honesty. So I don't understand why people just if we play bad, it's Bruno, So he just had a poor game with the rest of the team. I think he should. We cannot. There are games where he needs to play a little bit deeper, but you need to, again, your midfield's your unit. Everything is a unit. You can't just be like, we'll play Bruno deeper with Sabitzer the first half and McTominay further up. Like, it just doesn't work like that. His game, he's got a game. We know,
absolutely right.
100%. 100% right.
He's probably one of the best attacking midfielders in the league, and people don't want to hear that. Probably there's a lot of people don't like him, but he probably you got to
don't care.
Exactly. You just got to play to his strengths. And
just going back to what Marc was saying at the beginning, and I know you know this, Freddie, Eriksen is the key to unlocking Bruno. He's the absolute master. And, a foursome next season of Sabitzer, Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno. Wow.
That's another six, I think. I honestly, I think as time goes on, we've me and Stu and Fred as well, obviously. For the last 3 years, we've been calling out for a DM, and even for Pogba. Honestly, I don't care what anyone says. Pogba in this team with Casemiro behind him, he would be absolutely sensational. Now, anyway, it's a different story. Casemiro finally got a bloody number 6. Matic was a bit past it. We could see the frailties, couldn't play 2 games a week ever. And now we've got someone that's able to provide everything, and it really does improve the attacking football as well. Now, when Casemiro is out, we have got nobody to fulfill that number 6 role at all. And I think that it's now becoming even clearer with the temperament, perhaps, of Casemiro, with, potentially he's 31, might get injuries. I think that actually, I would say a DM understudy, someone that can fill that role, is more important than a right back that I know everyone's
Just a
calling
quick one,
for as
Mark,
well.
on Casemiro's temperament. I don't believe it's his temperament. It is.
I do agree, but
it is. He's missing the crooner. He's missing Modric, and it's a different league. That's all it is. He's just getting used to the league.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
If you had somebody like the crooner alongside him, which Eriksen is, don't forget, it's only really come to pass since Eriksen's been at the side.
How important he is.
Yeah, this issue of Casemiro's disciplinary record since Eriksen's at the side, because the way that those two and Bruno interact, it's absolutely phenomenal. And people were saying, well, Eriksen's not having any influence on the game. He is. He's just utilising Casemiro and utilising Bruno. Bruno, since Eriksen's been out of the team, is a shadow of a player he was when Eriksen was in the team. The tandem that you require in central midfield is, as Freddie 100% pointed out, it's pivotal. You don't start somebody deep and then switch them halfway through a game. You don't do that.
No.
Just to add on that as well,
Yeah,
it's all about balance, isn't it? Eriksen, Casemiro, Bruno, that it covers all bases. I mean, arguably one of the best midfielders, if not the best in the league. So yeah, Eriksen hugely understated how much we miss him. And the other thing with Bruno is, I'd link it to the Weghorst addition, because he needs runners ahead of him. I think his biggest strength is putting in that ball over, or feeding runners, and you don't get that with Weghorst. And if Rashford isn't on his game, you don't get Bruno's out of the game basically. So it's as much what's ahead of him as where he's playing.
100%. Yeah, everything you said there, Freddie's bang on, mate.
Bang on. Yeah, and this is why we get these two on, and obviously everyone else that does come on the show, because they are great to listen to and know their shit. Even if they are agreeing with me, obviously I'm going to like them a bit more.
We're only being
But anyway, right, moving on. I've lost my... Oh, actually, some positives for you with Eriksen, and we've been talking about it quite a bit. He is potentially due to return on the 8th. Whether he's going to start, whether he's going to make an appearance, but that is 6 days. So, not saying it's going to answer all our questions, be a huge difference. Certainly not in the first couple of games, but he is coming back. So hopefully that means that will be a massive uplift. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Right, let's move on to the front three then. Our team is screaming for a De Jong type of player. Stu, when he comes on for the controversy, some might say that, others might say that he talks absolute sense.
And I thought you liked
Marc, can you ask Fred, does he feel bad that he didn't start today? It's great that he shot. I'm guessing he wants me to ask this, but
anyway. Fuming, Trev, fuming. But the stream's not playing.
Love that. And Jarvis here as well. Always good to have you, buddy. Eriksen sorely missed. Right, front three. Who wants Rashford? Free for all now, Rashford.
Oh, 5.
Yeah, 5.
I've got nothing more to say. That's 5.
Yeah.
Anthony.
Well, and I'll just be quick with this, Fred. Before you get, he gets a 5 from me today, and quite simply because he bottled it. There was no real. He tried. Don't get me wrong, he tried, but he bottled it. He should have stood up to Burn and said, "Sorry, mate. That's not the game you're playing today. I'm going to dictate to you," and he didn't do it. So he gets a 5 from me.
He needs to diversify his game, because he's too readable. Like I said, they would have gone in on the game plan, not just to be a bit ruffle his feathers, but he's going to cut in. And we say it every stream, until he sorts that out, until he fixes his right foot. Yeah, it's going to be the same thing every week.
We don't condone smoking on this channel.
Weghorst, straight 9. He was quality again, Weghorst. Was he gets a 9?
9.5 for me.
One thing I remember, Freddie, actually, that I always remember, we had a conversation about Anthony, and this rings true so well, and there was an amazing point that I didn't really think about, and you can give me that tenner later, but basically you said very, very left-footed, and obviously I know that's trivial now. We see that, but you're absolutely right. It's so one dimensional. He has to be so careful, and he really needs to. He needs to change that. He's never going to become a world class player, and I couldn't care less about the price tag. Fulfill his potential if he cannot diversify his game and use his right peg exactly, and a massive.
Just before you wrap
problem,
this part up, Mark.
Yes.
My top score 7 goes to Martial. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Martial, and I'm pleased you said that. I thought he was good.
He gets a 7 for me. He gets my top score today.
He did change it a bit, didn't he? You can see his ability. It's a shame about he's made of a glass.
Did you see him?
You know what he brings.
Did you see him from the back? Did you see him take it from the back where he whipped it around 2 players and got us going? It was if he scored that goal, it was an amazing move. 2 little bits of quick feet and we're out.
I've said it on previous channels a couple of years ago, honestly, and I believe that. I think his finishing has regressed. I think he's made of glass.
Finishing a game. It'd be
brilliant.
Nice to
see. This is why you come to the weekly armchair. This is why you watch. This is why you watch Freddie Woodward.
Yeah, great stuff.
That's great.
The ball at his feet,
that really is funny.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. With the ball at his feet, I think he's one of the best in the league. He's so good. He's so good, and that it was beautiful, that bit of skill. And
just stay fit. Just stay fit.
Yeah, just need to keep him fit.
And do you know what? I'd add Sancho to that. I mean, the upgrade in quality when they came on was instant.
I think Sancho,
the people who can actually play ball. Yeah, look, Sancho, he's got his deficiencies, but these guys are good on the ball. And some games, like I said earlier, I think Ten Hag needs to utilise that a bit more. Sometimes you need the pressing, sometimes you need the quality.
Yeah, and I think this kind of goes back to Stu's point. I'm going to wrap it up now. He said earlier about sort of Ten Hag learning the game still. I think that, he's had one summer window. He's had a January window. He got 2 loan, and everyone was pissed off. He's probably pissed off, whatever else. We're currently going through the potential sale. And also, with that in mind, it's only been a small amount of time. We're in a great position. We're doing well. It's 3 points. I know it's fucking annoying. I get it. I'm angry, but it is what it is. But ultimately, I think that with that, he's going with what he is comfortable with, i.e. being Anthony. And I think Anthony actually has been amazing on the right-hand side. Very, very underrated. Doesn't give enough. But that's a problem as well. But because he knows him so well, he consistently starts with him. I think you're right, Fred. I think today, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but maybe change it up a bit. Bring on Sancho. He could be that one to have a bit of trickery, keep hold of the ball. With his feet, he's very, very good. I don't care about his numbers. He's always consistently good with his feet. And maybe he needs to maybe. What do we know? Do you know what I mean? We're not the experts, but hey. Boys, really enjoyed today. Really, really good. I know it's lost of 3 points, but, we've got to try and make the most out of a situation. I've enjoyed talking to you both. Great stuff. Everyone in the comments as well, really, 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 really good today. So thank you very much. Make sure you come back next time and get liking and get subscribing. Until then, we've got some good shows next week. We've got another preview. We've got another reaction. We've got another show that we're doing next week with some really big people. We might be getting an ex-United player on. You'll know who that will be, Stu and Freddie. You've been on with them before. One of them, I think, and also a couple of others about. I'm trying to. What's his name? Roy Kavanagh.
Roy Kavanagh.
Yeah, I couldn't think for the life of me. He's going to come on as well, but we're going to talk about the top 10 United players of all time. So that could be a really, really interesting
I thought you were going to say Sir Bobby. Me and Stu did a good stream with him a few years ago, didn't we, Stu?
Yes.
You're teasing us, Mark.
On?
Yeah, where were you? I don't think you were there, Mark, on that.
No, you wasn't. I don't know why you weren't there.
You weren't on with Sir Bobby. I don't believe. Did you actually?
Did the post-match?
Oh, You're
I don't know why you went.
Honestly, I am the most gullible person in the world, and I genuinely, for a minute there, thought, "Fucking hell, I missed out there." But anyway, there's also the possibility, and I think Keane will kill me for this, but a potential current Manchester United player that we may be getting on in the next couple of months. So I will give you more details over that. So please come back. Anyway, guys, I've spoken for way too long. We really appreciate everything you do, and we will see you when I can find the outro next time.